So today I'm going to talk about teams, especially about building performing software teams. But before I'm gonna start, I would like to say a few words. I have quite strong correlation with previous presentation, but it's occasionally. We didn't see each other's presentation, so please consider it as a kind of proof that we are telling something trustworthy. So before I start, one question. Please raise your hand who has ability to have an impact for the team. I mean, team leads, engineering managers, directors, whoever. Not so many, but okay. So guys, I'm going to tell about some kind of rules, some kind of approaches, and some kind of things which, in my opinion, are valuable for building high-performance software teams. But short disclaimer before I'm gonna start, this is my personal position. It's not applicable to any my employers. And it's my personal opinion. So please judge it, please challenge it, and don't trust me. But few words about myself, just to gain some trust. Right now, I'm director of R&D at Orca Security, as Katya said. I have about 13 years of experience. I used to work in different setups, outsourcing full cycle companies when we are building hardware, software, doing distributions. And last 7 years, I mainly work in tech startups. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. Before we're gonna start, let's start with definition of a team. What is a team? There is a kind of long, boring definition from Wikipedia about group of individuals who collaborate, work in prior goals, have complementary skills and something like that. But my personal one is much shorter. Team is just a group of people which together achieve more than sum of individual contributions. If you have 5 people who in sum achieve more than being separated, you have a team. Otherwise, you have just a set of people you call a team. And I wouldn't talk about very autonomous teams. I'm not going to talk about cross-functional team versus front-end DevOps, back-end teams. I'm going to talk about the teams as a whole. No matter how they are organized, do they have their own product manager or they don't, there are, in my opinion, 2 different types of teams. And I'm going to refer into this kind of definitions. I mean software development teams and product development teams. They are very different. And mostly I'm going to talk about product development teams, but I'm going to mention both of them. So my definition for software development teams, it's a team of developers. Result of their work, set of done tickets. Finished sprint, I don't know, set of story points, whatever. They are doing what they told. And this kind of teams, they usually require very good definition of the input, because you all heard like garbage in, garbage out, and this is very applicable for such teams. If you're not providing good enough input for such a team, you're not getting good enough output. Very simple. And this kind of team, which is essential, they require a person of contact. The one who's gonna answer the question. If something is not clear, you need a person to ask. Otherwise, the team gonna stuck. And from my personal opinion, this kind of teams, they usually appear in 2 cases. The first one, it's outsourcing teams or offshore dedicated teams which are delegated to do some kind of subset, or it's a team in a very big organization. If we're talking about thousands of developers, they are simply cannot work as product teams sometimes. And this is the most safe approach. Not the best, the safest. If we're talking about product development teams, this is a little bit different. This is a team of engineers, and the result of their work is a better product, customer satisfaction, whatever. They are solving business needs. And they don't require perfect tickets, perfect input. As previous speaker told, they need an idea, they need a problem, they need a vector. And they're going to resolve things on their own. And which is essential. In previous example, I told about the person of contact. Here, I'm telling about feedback. This kind of team needs to operate with the feedback. If they don't have feedback, they are like flying in the dark, and they are not really effective. So with this in mind, with these two kinds of teams, we are going to proceed. How to build a team. We know what defines a team, we know different kinds of team, and how to build a team. I just collected a set of my rules, I would say, statements with some experience, and I'm gonna go over one by one and trying to bring some value for you guys. So the first one, put your people first. You have a team, you're working on business needs, and there is always deadline. There is always something which is really needed. But what you should keep in mind always that you need to put your people first. Always favor people over business. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend you to be in this kind of situation, because you have probably half-motivated team, probably people who don't trust you, but you always should try to put people over business. I have a great example. We used to work in a company, I'm not gonna name it. We had very tough schedule, like really tough schedule. We had amazing team which was working on this product, and there was a guy who was really stressed. By the way, Katya, I forgot to ask you, can I use swear words here? So the guy was stressed as fuck. Like, absolutely. And we were trying to figure out what is going on, why. And we figured out that his daughter is about to go to first grade. It was about September 1st, and he was a key developer. He was really involved in the team, and team was relying on him. And he was thinking, should he go with his daughter to school, or should he like let team live with him? So as a team, we decided to tell him, okay, man, we don't need you. You need to go. We are not waiting for you tomorrow. We're gonna survive. Let's see you like the day after. Was it a good decision? I strongly believe yes. We've got some kind of trust. And this is a scene which you couldn't buy. You're losing a day, but you're gaining in a long term. So always try to put people over business. Do not focus on members, focus on overall results. You may know that like I'm going to do several references, by the way, to several books, and at the very end I'm gonna share with you all of them. But anyway, for those who have been studying math heavily, you know that the system of local optimums is not optimal. So you always should try to optimize overall result. You shouldn't try to optimize work of each team member. You should look at team as a whole. If there is a guy who is, by metrics, delivering the smallest results, it doesn't mean that he is bad. He's probably the guy who answers all the questions from all the people, who supports them, who does code reviews, who is the point of contact, the spirit of the team, and if you're about to force him to deliver more, you get few more story points per sprint, but should you? I really doubt it. About this kind of scene, system of local optimums and things like that, I highly recommend you a book by a guy with name Goldratt, Theory of Constraints. Great book, but let's skip it. You're gonna have a link later on. Build an environment for growth. This is a great scene as well, because if you have a team who is working which is working on something, but you don't allow your developers to grow, they are going to leave you. Probably not this week, probably not this month, but maybe next year or something like that. And you are going to have next team, another team, which you need to deal with. So you need to try to develop no blame culture. Like if you have an issue, you need to work on resolution, not trying to point fingers, trying to find, oh, this lazy bastard didn't do his job and that's why we have a downtime. That's not a thing. You need to focus on resolution. Always, I really recommend it to do some kind of lessons learned sessions, postmortems, and things like that. Because if you made a mistake, there is a very high chance that this mistake is going to be repeated. So you need to learn on them. And this is an environment for growth. I am really promoting open discussions. Like I have started with a thing like, you shouldn't trust me. You should trust nobody. You should openly discuss all the things, judge all the decisions in order to make them better. If someone goes and tells, okay, you need to do this kind of Kubernetes cluster, the first question should be why? And if you're getting, because I told so, I really promote you to consider, are you in a good team or not? And yeah, you should use arguments, not authority. If team lead comes and tells, do what I told, he's probably not a good guy. He should bring the ideas, bring the details, just in order to give an ability to learn. And the last but not least, which is very common, if there is a junior developer in the team, he gets the most dirty job. He's the guy who gets all the bugs from backlog. He's the guy who gets the most boring tickets, the most stale something from Jira, and he's the guy who suffers a lot. Because other guys who used to be junior developers 5 years ago went through that, and this is a kind of vicious cycle. You shouldn't do this kind of thing. You should probably try to stop. And if you give these guys ability to learn, they're gonna learn and they're gonna develop much more just in few weeks. Just try it. Not to bring bugs to junior developers, not to bring the most annoying things to them, please. Hire right people. Quite obvious. Yeah, you should hire right people. Why so? There are a few points from my side about it. You shouldn't blindly follow big names of companies and resumes, big university names. Oh, this guy used to work in Microsoft, we should hire him. No, you shouldn't. You should hire people based on their knowledge, based on their attitude, based on your feelings. And from my personal experience, the best guys I used to hire in my entire career, they were underdogs. They were guys who really hardly went through screening. They were the guys who really hard getting through recruiters, through all the things. But if you give people chances, if you're hiring right people, you are getting really great impact. And you need to learn. There is no way of like, please apply these 5 rules to your hiring process and you're going to be great. No, you're going to hire wrong people. You're going to hire right people. You're not going to hire right people, which is the most complicated because you don't know. You simply denied someone and you don't know that it was a great candidate. You can't learn on that. But the more you do it, the more you learn, the better you are. And yeah, give people chances. If you've seen someone who's supposed to be or looks like highly motivated candidate, but you are seeing like you are referring for, I don't know, I need software developer with 5 years of experience and this guy only has 3. I have seen guys with 10 years of experience who were worse than junior developers with 1 year. That's simply numbers. So be human, give second chances, and it's going to be paid off. And I highly recommend to ask open questions. By open questions, I mean try to get something from the person which are not template answers. Like ask people, what is the most complicated thing you have done last 6 months? You're gonna know what level of this person you should expect. Ask them about the biggest mistakes they made. It tells much more about person rather than number of years of experience, big company names in resume or something like that. Try to get as much as you can from recruitment process, and you have higher chances to get right people. You never have high chances of hiring right people, and you're gonna do mistake, you need to admit it. This is about transparency, and I highly recommend to be as much transparent as possible. What I mean by that, you should share as much as you can with the team. If you have complications with selling your product, bring this information to the team. If you did something amazing and it cost you, I don't know, big deal, new customer, whatever, bring this to team. People gonna learn, they gonna be understanding why are they doing their job and what is the impact. And this is applicable for everything, not about product. It's about what's going on in the company. We are living in tough times, and people, they are worried. And I have been in this industry for a while, but layoffs at why? Really, guys, we are living in a one shitty time. So we should be transparent, at least in your team. They shouldn't be stressed. Just bring the information. If you know that your company have tough times, tell about it. If you know that things are doing all right, tell about it. The more people know, the better they act. You should always tell the truth when you hire. If you are telling that, like, we have absolutely amazing environment, like rainbow, unicorns, and things like that, and the new guy comes in on Monday and there are zero documentation, no body developer, and nothing like that, he would be upset. And do you want to have a team of upset people? I really doubt it. So tell the truth. If you have strict deadlines, tell about it. If you time to time work overtime or you have a constant set of fires, tell about it. Probably you're gonna lose few guys, but it's better to lose them on a hiring process rather than on a probation period or in 6 months. Just tell the truth. You should always bring the great stories to the team. If your team developed something which is like an amazing, which is a great example of product development, if they did something like that, you should always bring this to wider audience. At least you should bring this to the team, because I mentioned postmortems, and I believe many of you, you do postmortems. If you have a failure, if you have a downtime, you are doing this kind of ritual when you're writing, we're sitting on Zoom and telling, okay, we had a downtime, our database didn't survive, what should we do? And sometimes it's the only practice team has. So you are admitting failures and you are not admitting wins, but you should. You should highlight achievements. You should show gratitude. If there is a guy who did extra mile, who did something extraordinary, or discovered something, tell about it. Bring these examples to wider audience. For example, just a few days ago, we had like pretty big performance improvement, like one of the biggest performance improvement in years. And you may understand it's a quite huge impact. If you are improving performance like significantly, the first question is going to be like, why didn't we do it before? And I really going to try you to not think in that way, but try to think otherwise. We made a great improvement. We should be grateful to that. There is a guy who puts his effort and he figured out that we can do it and we did it. We shouldn't try to blame reverse engineer why it was there. We probably should, but not in the first place. And you need mark milestones and huge leaps. Like what I usually do, I do quarterly reviews. What I mean by quarterly reviews, I'm checking out the repository for the first day of the quarter, running up application locally and sharing it with the team, telling guys, that's what we had 3 months ago. That's what we have now. And usually, I really encourage you to try. People react like, wow, we're not seeing that we did so much. It's like with kids from someone other. You are not seeing them for a while and they're like, wow, such a big boy. And with your own kid, it slowly grows. So having an ability to look back for probably 3 months, I think this is the most applicable timeline. It's a great opportunity for a team to see that they are not constantly producing value, but they are bringing big impact to the product. Let's move on. Develop a product mindset. Our previous speaker mentioned it a lot, so I'm gonna go fast about it. Allow people to bring their ideas. Not judge them, let them talk. Develop zero trust culture. Trust nobody, there are no authorities, arguments only. Sometimes no code is a solution. You shouldn't blindly follow every request from clients. You should think about it. Protect your team. Do the most dirty job on your own. This is a nice part. This is my favorite one, probably. You should always, for those who raise the hand, guys, you should always be team's defender. Every time, everywhere. If there is a blame to your team, if your team failed everything, you should, in the first place, defend them. Then go back to them and try to figure out what's going on. Take whatever you can take from them. Duties on calls, boring meetings, let them survive. You're gonna do their job. And take the job no one wants to do. If you need to replace in 500 places in code X with Y, as a manager, you're smart enough to do it. Don't put it into the team. You should let people leave. If you're doing big releases, if you push them hard, let them relax afterwards. Admit the failure is gonna happen. Sometimes you need to allow people to fail. It's like with kids who are learning to run, to walk, they need to fail. If you're seeing that something is going to fail, you need to be calm. You need to sometimes, not always, you need to understand, you need to let them fail. People learn from failures much more from wins. I have a great example about it. There was a team I used to work in, and I was telling guys, we have a memory leak. There's gonna be a situation when our server gonna die. And they're like, no, we're gonna be all right. So the server died, and I woke up at 3 a.m. with a call from PagerDuty that we have a downtime. I have resetted the server and wrote a message to Slack, guys, I just resetted the server. No blame, no words like I told you. I just did it. What happened next? They fixed memory leak. And every next time I was referring there is a highly possibility that that's gonna happen. They're like, yeah, this is the guy who told us about memory leak and it happened, we should probably hear him. Measure. Our previous presenter told that you should measure things. If you are not measuring something, you can't improve it. People are biased. Numbers are more accurate. You should measure things, and sometimes you should measure not very obvious things. A great example, we had a great question from audience about metrics, and developers index was mentioned. A few months ago, one of my teams wanted to measure development index. They were told, okay, we're going to create a short poll. We're going to put numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. We're going to measure it. And I was skeptical about it. Like, you want to measure it? Okay, guys, measure it. After a few months, we figured out that there are some trends there. Like there are sprints where development index drops. So we just try to find the correlation. And if you don't have this kind of numbers, you can't find these insights. So be very careful with what you measure and why. Because if you're going to measure, I don't know, number of story points blindly, and you're going to try to optimize this, I really doubt this is the best option. Lead by example. People going to do what you do, not what you tell them to do. So you should admit your mistakes and just question yourself. Like, not only the team should question you, zero trust, zero authority, you should always question yourself. Like, the best thing you can do is always asking yourself, am I like sane? Am I telling like real things to the team, or I'm telling bullshit to the guys and they are just, I don't know, shy enough not to tell me that? Question yourself. That's it? No, that's not. Even if you apply everything I told to the team, what you gonna get? You ain't get perfect team. There are no perfect teams. But what you're gonna get? You get quite a good team, but there are some downsides. They're gonna question you. You're gonna come to them and tell, guys, we need a hot fix, and they're like, why? Guys, we have a really hot deal, we need a hot fix. Yeah, we understood why. So it's gonna be tough for some cases. The team becomes tight coupled. You understand what tight coupling means in terms of code, but in terms of team, there are a lot of horizontal connections between them. They are very accurate, they communicate to each other, but there is a price for that. They're gonna ask you about vacations at the same time. They're gonna come and ask, okay, we want to go skiing. Like, there is a team of 7 people and 4 of them gonna go skiing for 2 weeks. It's gonna be tough. They're gonna celebrate birthdays, weddings, and they're gonna have hangover all together. So there gonna be the days when you have 80% of your team on sick day. You just need to admit it. And when someone leaves the team, it's painful. It's really painful. It's like losing a member of your family, because team is tight coupled, because they have a lot of connections, and you need to deal with it. And such teams, there are 2 cases when someone else joins the team. The first, very unlikely, is they are really fast adopted by this team. Like, you are our guy, please come in. Or second chance, the team is like, we don't like him. He is not like us. It's gonna be tough. Sometimes they're gonna be wrong. Sometimes you're gonna be wrong. Sometimes no one gonna be wrong, but you need to admit that this is gonna happen. And this is very complicated to leave such a team. Sometimes, as people tell, like companies and people, they grow with different speed. Some people, they grow faster, some companies grow faster. But if there is a moment in time when for your personal career, for your personal growth, for your personal needs, it's better to leave the company, it's going to be really, really painful for you to leave such a team. Because it feels like, I'm really good here. I'm appreciated. I feel good. There are good guys. We are grabbing some beers time to time. Why should I go to another company I don't know? There are high risks. Yeah, bigger salary and things like that. So it's going to be complicated. Admit it. Bonus part. We have time. Excellent. So I'm going to ask you guys to scan QR code, please, if you want. We're gonna try to go over scenes and just measure my sanity. Let's mark it here. Like, how many of these scenes I mentioned is applicable to you? Anonymous. we're not tracking your personal data. We're not going to use it for advertisement. Don't we? Okay. Just always question yourself here. So are we good to go? I need to change your tab. Sorry, my bad, guys. So I believe we should be here, yeah? Okay, let's leave it like that. Of course we can. Nice. We have a really great set of people here. I really hope we're gonna progress like that further. Guys, should I go further or you click on next? How can I do it like that? No, I can't. Ah.
But there.
Uh-huh. I know. I'm not smart enough to do the version. So we're gonna do like that. So, guys, I really like how it goes. Okay. Nice. Interesting. I expected some kind of controversial data here just to discuss it. But so far we are going forward quite good. So, environment for growth. What the hell? It's not even interesting. Good. We need to find something which is not really applicable to majority. Nice. Come on. Just this one is really actually great because the right answer here is I don't know. You never know if you hire right people or not. Probably those who were not hired, they were worse than those who were. Probably not. Who knows? Like the hiring is a kind of lottery. Or you are doing like 7 rounds of interview and only the strongest ones they are in the team. But it's quite good, quite interesting. So let's go further. Transparency level. Nice. We're probably gonna get back to that one. Are you gonna ask these 15 people who tell no? What do they mean by it? So guys, whoever voted for no here, please remember, I'm gonna ask you about things. Product mindset. It's not applicable for several areas, but in general, it should be good. Nice. The further we go, the better, the more questionable results we get. Nice. So, team is protected by team win. My favorite one. Okay, I've seen a lot of raised hands at the very beginning, so you guys definitely voted for yes. But there are a few people who voted for no. Great. In general, It looks like I just told you common sense, because you are all agree with myself and things like that. Wow. Honestly, I expected this one to be lowest, like really lowest, because probably I wasn't lucky, because I've seen a lot of people and a lot of teams who were not admitting their mistakes. So you're like, yes, we did it. We were told to do that. There is no mistake here. And this kind of things, they happen again and again. I'm really happy that you guys are not in such teams. I believe that this is the last one, not? No. We have a few, yeah? This one about measures. Nice. Now we see the conflict. I really wasn't expecting this, but I could try to guess. Probably those guys who voted for no, they mean that the wrong metrics are optimized, and like probably the team is measured by amount of story points they are producing or number of bugs they are fixing and things like that. From my personal experience, this is a kind of indication of young, unexperienced management. My personal advice for you guys, you should, like, very kindly, politely, very, very kindly, politely, bring other metrics to your management. Like, yeah, we did like 10% less story points in the sprint, but we did this amazing thing. Just try to bring them something to rely on, because they are relying on something which probably like the person before them was relying on, and the person before that person was relying on. So this is a kind of vicious cycle. Bring them something. Oh, this is old. Yeah, it should be. I'm not going to comment this one. So we just have ended, which is great. So I'm gonna switch back to presentation and try to continue. Come on, guys, just few more slides. I'm not going to take a lot of your time. So few indicators of scenes which you should pay attention on. If you have everything under control, if there are no fires, there are no overtimes, if you have very predictable time, like week to week, you probably doing something wrong. If you are looking back for a year ago and trying to think like what I done a year ago, what I was doing, what we were measuring, what was our product, and if you don't feel this kind of very strong dissatisfaction with yourself, you are not growing. You are on the same positions that you were a year before. So you should question yourself. And if you do not expect any changes in next like 6 months or a year, you should also question yourself, like, are we going to learn? Are we going to evolve? Are we going to educate ourselves? You should always think like, there's gonna be time when we're gonna have less product requests. No, it's not gonna be this time. But you should always think about it. You should always have some kind of hope ahead of you. you should always be willing to see the brighter future. And if you don't, I'm really sad about it. So thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to have two QR codes here. The first one is about books. I really recommend you to scan the first one. There is a set of very nice books there. Each of them worth reading, but please don't start with team topologies. This should be the last one, because it's like distilled knowledge. Start with something more classical. And the second one is my LinkedIn. If you would like to write me a message, man, you were telling bullshit, you were telling common sense, feel free. I'm open to this kind of discussions. Thanks a lot. I see we're right on time, and we have a time for a few questions, I believe.